Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining me on the Why They Invested Healthcare Edition podcast. I'm here today with Morgan Livermore, partner at Quiet Capital. How's it going, Morgan?
Hey, Jared. Good. It's good to see you. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I almost said the wrong intro because we've done about over 200 episodes of Slice of Healthcare, and this is through Slice of Healthcare, but I keep messing it up and still saying Slice of Healthcare. So super excited to have you as guest number 2 on this new podcast that we launched. Would really appreciate if you give the audience a quick bit about your background, and then we'll talk more about your investment focus and one of your most recent healthcare investments.
Yeah, sure thing. So I'm Morgan. I'm one of the partners here at Quiet Capital. As the name implies, we like to keep a under the radar profile here, but we're probably one of the more active funds people don't hear about too often. As we like to spend more of our time working with the companies and founders that we invest in, rather than spending time focused on ourselves. So that's kind of our ethos. I started my career as an investment banker for a couple of years, really helping founders learn how to raise capital or sell their business. It was super exciting working with founders directly. I was a young guy at the time and enjoyed that, but eventually got pulled over to Excel Partners, where I spent about 4 years working primarily on the growth fund, but working with founders there directly as well. Our ethos was, first investor, first capital in, looking for big platform companies with big market opportunities ahead of them, where we could support them in just about every way. Then went over to a fund called Geodesic Capital, where I was one of the partners. I spent about 4 years there as well before joining Quiet late last year.
Yeah, and the audience is probably a little bit familiar with you because you're on the Nick's Notes podcast with Nick Desai. I think it must have been a couple months back now. Probably
yeah,
like
it's probably
fall.
right. It's probably September, October, maybe.
Yeah, fall time.
Maybe even August. I'm sure people skipped that episode anyway.
No, we're gonna tag it back too. So if they didn't see it, they're gonna see it this time.
Perfect.
Well, really excited to have you on. Can you talk us a little bit through? I know you kind of mentioned it a bit in the intro, but can you talk us more through the investment focus? I know you don't just invest in healthcare. It's obviously an area that you're looking continuously more into, but what does Quiet Capital really focus in on in terms of investments? And then we'll talk a little bit more about HeyRenee.
Yeah, absolutely. So personally, I spent most of my career actually in enterprise and infrastructure. I spent almost a decade doing exclusively those, and then a little bit of fintech, a little bit of healthcare as well. So the extrapolation is, as we look at the world, and I think that adage is a little stale at this point, but still very true, that software is eating the world. We're starting to look at and see more vertical solutions where software is going into more legacy areas and industries. And so, the way we think about the world here at Quiet is probably 6 or 7 core verticals. We think about it as far as enterprise and infrastructure, fintech, healthcare, marketplaces, deep tech, crypto, and consumer. And obviously, crypto is a little on the newer side. But within that, we're pretty generalist. So a lot of us spend time as sort of a major in one of those industries with a minor in a couple others. And then I also focus primarily on growth investing. So call it anything Series B or later, whereas most of our team is focused on earlier stage, pre-seed to Series A.
And what was it about HeyRenee that kind of led you and the team to invest in them?
Well, the story goes way back 7 or 8 years when Nick and Renee were starting Heal, and they were just getting off the ground. I was a lowly associate at Excel Partners, but got to know them and spent a lot of time with them trying to figure out what the Heal model looked like and what their opportunities were ahead of them. I ended up becoming it's probably a longer story, but a customer of Heal or a patient of Heal at one point due to a sort of freak accident and a very crowded ER. We ended up leveraging Heal, but I relayed that experience back to Nick and Renee. And I think that one, they really appreciated just me staying in touch with them and getting to know them more as people and as entrepreneurs. But the other piece was I think they appreciated that feedback. Like, it's always helpful. Founders always love that feedback, particularly if it's a positive experience, and it really was. So, I got a call from Nick and then sort of kept in touch with him, but got a call from Nick saying that they were going to go start HeyRenee over the summer. Long story short, my wife was actually going into labor at the time, and we sort of struck a deal up a couple of weeks later and said, let's make this happen. I knew Nick and Renee were pretty special and wanted to be a part of it. I think for me personally, just you see founding teams that work together and mesh so well, and I think it's pretty rare you see a husband-wife team do that. For them, it's pretty special to see where they complement each other. The holes that one of them has is filled by the others, and vice versa. It's a pretty interesting dynamic. And then to do that all with a family and a kid, not just once but twice, I think it's pretty special. So I knew it was something that we had to be a part of. And candidly, the way we were looking at it is we see the digital ecosystem really changing healthcare and delivering better outcomes for patients across the board. I think we can start in the Medicare Medicaid space, but as you extrapolate out just to what patients and consumers demand these days, the healthcare system is just so ripe for change, and it's their sort of ethos to go take a big problem that's out there and go change it and actually be those agents of change. And that's what got us so excited as a team here at Quiet Capital.
Yeah, that was actually going to be my next question, was really just why an interest in this digital health space. And I don't know who said it recently. Someone on LinkedIn put this out there, and I wish I could give them credit. So if the person that said it is listening, just tag yourself in the post and we'll let everyone know it was you. But when I read it, we're really close to next couple of years. It's not going to be like healthcare. Everything is going to be like digital health in some capacity, right? Like we'll say digital health more than we'll say even just the generic term of healthcare as a whole. And I think obviously the pandemic and just everything that's happened over the last 2 years, it's really kind of propelled where this space is. And it's really exciting to see, multiple time founders like Nick and Dr. Dua starting up new companies in the digital health space with their past experiences. And then also seeing some of the newer players, right, come in and take their experiences and try to build new platforms and products.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, we think a lot about the consumerization of the enterprise. I think it's a pretty worn term or phrase at this point. But when you think about what that really becomes or what it really means, is it's a lot of people that are used to leveraging software or technology in a certain way, and that becomes what they expect, not just in their personal lives from a consumer app, but it becomes what they expect in their workplace. And I think going forward, people are very much going to demand that from a healthcare perspective. And I think on one hand, you have healthcare providers that need to provide better care and have better outcomes. On the other hand, you have consumers, and in this case, patients, that are frankly just sick of the old way of getting their care delivered to them, which sometimes wasn't great. And that ends up leading to worse health outcomes. If you can solve both of those issues, it's not a small problem. This isn't going to be a overnight fix with some company that comes in and changes everything overnight. It's going to be an ecosystem change. But when you just look at that opportunity and where HeyRenee fits in and where digital health plays a role in that, I think you're going to see just categorical change, which you don't see in too many industries at this point, given how prolific software has been at changing all those different categories.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I know we just recently put out a post about the round that you led for HeyRenee, but they also talked about their pilot study, and it's really interesting to continue to read up on all of these companies, not just HeyRenee, and how they're growing and what they're doing in the space. And we look forward to any of your investments you're making to learn more about them, but especially the healthcare space, since that's really our focus. Definitely let us know. We'll keep an eye out for any of those healthcare specific investments you make, and hopefully we can have you on the podcast again. But Morgan, thank you so much for joining me today. Really appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Jared. Appreciate it.